We strong.
Well, a happy Tuesday morning here from the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Justin here with the Throw-In with Justin, taking you guys up until 11 a.m. And I got some things planned out for today's show, and I'm excited to get down to it, talk about some Monday Night Raw, some Major League Baseball updates and news, and obviously cover the rest of the National Football League that wrapped up. Hey, week one wrapped up last night between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. This was the first time since Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos this offseason that they headed on into Seattle to face Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. And I think the bigger question of going into last night's game, was just how will Pete Carroll adjust? And obviously, for Russell Wilson, getting the opportunity to have the fresh start on a new team, getting being able to prove to everyone, hey, I am a good quarterback. This is a new opportunity for me, and I'm going to take advantage of it. The question that I think a lot of people didn't ask, I think a lot of people really assumed that Denver was going to just walk on into Seattle, where, by the way, the entire stadium was really loud, and the Seattle stadium is notorious for it. But people thought that Denver was going to come in with Russell Wilson, and they're just going to be able to run over Seattle. That Geno Smith, is not, wasn't going to be able to carry the team. Seattle, is in a rebuild mode, and that they're not going to be able to hold their ground. I think what a lot of people didn't ask was, or even consider, was just how good were the Broncos after the inclusion of Russell Wilson. And could they, and are the Broncos even better than the Seahawks? Obviously, last night, that didn't look like the case. The Seahawks won Monday Night Football, concluding week one of the NFL, 17-16. And I don't know if I would sit here and blame the players or the coaches. I think there's a big, fair share of things that you could probably change throughout the game. Some plays that you could probably change to help, for the Broncos to, make this more of a comfortable lead and a comfortable victory. But I got home last night. I tuned down into the, when I turned on the game, literally I was coming into the 2-minute warning. And I was like, okay, so 2-minute warning is the game-winning drive. If Seattle could, I think they were on a third down, and they had to convert because, life depends on it. They just have to get into field goal range. And 2 minutes goes by, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, all right, so Russell Wilson takes the first snap and runs off, runs up to the for the first down. He's about midfield. And I'm like, all right. I think that they have an opportunity. You think that they go no huddle, get quick to the ball, snap it with the minute and 35 seconds left. No, they sit there, and for some reason the clock winds down to a minute 13. A play's completed. They're at about the 40-yard line, and I'm like, all right, they just need a few more yards. Broncos, by the way, still had all three of their timeouts. All they needed was just to get into field goal territory to give their kicker an opportunity. And then next thing I'm checking my phone. I got home. I'm checking my phone. I'm trying to figure out just, really just where, what it's going to, trying to get some other sports updates. And next, there's 20 seconds left on the clock, and they're about 50, they're at the mid 40s, and they're looking to kick a game winning field goal. And they send Brandon McManus out there. And I'm like, you got three timeouts, you got 20 seconds left on the clock, and you're not going to try to get your team a little closer to the to the field goal range where it make it a lot easier. I mean, with Russell Wilson's arm, you could definitely throw the ball a few times. I mean, there was 10 plays. They started at the Denver 22. Okay, they went 32 yards in 3 minutes and 47 seconds, and half of that was thanks to at the 2 minute warning. You had the last one was with a minute and 11 seconds left, where Wilson passed it on to Williams, right, for a 9 yard gain. And so McManus was thrown out there to kick a 64-yard field goal, which obviously went to no good. Seattle took advantage of that. This would have been the longest field goal that McManus ever made if he was able to make it. And after seeing field goals after field goals, I mean, we saw two games yesterday. One between the Colts and Titans, and the other between the Steelers and Bengals on Sunday. Right, that would field goals were out of the option. They couldn't make them to save their life. And you put McManus in a position where he would have to win the game out of 64 yards when you had plenty of time left on the clock. So I questioned the coaching decision that Denver had last night that led them to the loss. But after looking at the game and looking at the stats, especially when you look at the comparison between Geno Smith, who I think a lot of fans are satisfied that he's with the Seahawks. I think a lot of fans, I think, have come to the acceptance with everything that's going on with Russell Wilson being traded earlier this offseason. But Geno Smith went 23 and 28, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. As Russell Wilson went 29 to 42, 340 yards, 1 touchdown. Melvin Gordon went 12 carries for 58 yards, averaging about 5 yards a carry, as Rashad Penny went 12 carries, 60 yards, averaging about 5 yards. So that's pretty well matched up. Take a look at some of the receivings over here on Denver's side, or Seattle side. Lockett, 3 receptions, 28 yards. Metcalf, 7 receptions, 36. Parkinson's, 2 receptions, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then you kind of just run over to the to the Broncos side. I mean, Broncos had a better offensive game because of Wilson. Drury, 4 receptions, 102 yards. Sutton, 4 receptions, 72 yards. Javonte Williams, 11 receptions, 65 yards. But my question is the coaching staff for the Denver Broncos. You know how this season, I've been telling you all week long, that this season is all about the AFC West. I mean, you got you have Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That right now, just like Tom Brady, you can't bet against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team that's been a division leader for like the last 6 years, ever since Peyton Manning left. You also look for the Los Angeles Chargers, who a lot of people claim that has the best roster in the NFL. You look at Derek Carr, who, and the Raiders, who went to the playoffs last season. And so you have to wonder, or have to at least consider them in playoff contingency. And I think a lot of people were expecting Denver and Russell Wilson to be in the mix and in the trade, but they're not going to do this with the coaching staff and how the coaches coached last night's game against a team that probably should have lost in the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this does notorious wonders for Seattle. This gives them a lot of hype. And, like I said, I don't want to buy too much into, hey, week one is week one. It's not week 18. Week one can't. I don't like to say week one determines who is a favorite to win the division. But when you see, when you see a team like the Denver Broncos making these simple mistakes in a game that they should have had, you do question just how their season is going to turn out, even with Russell Wilson. Now, even with Russell Wilson on his A game, that doesn't mean that the Broncos are going to win 7, 9 to 10 games this season. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they stand alone in the NFC West. You think about this, the 49ers lost to the Bears. The Rams lost to the Bills earlier this week. Then you had Arizona losing to Kansas City. Seattle's the only team that's 1-0. And take credit where, take it for what it's worth. But that's a little bit of confidence when you're the only team standing in your division after week one, when you're not facing any divisional teams. So, this was a big game for both Russell Wilson, and this was a big game for Pete Carroll, because I think a lot of people believe that Pete Carroll, is done. He should retire. He should give up based off of last season's results. And this is he's getting up there in age. I think he's probably close to being ready to retire. But this would it be nice for Pete Carroll to try to make a playoff run this season to prove to everyone just the type of coach that he is, just how good Pete Carroll is personally. I did want to commend Russell Wilson, staying humble, staying appreciative after the game in the post press conference, for just being able to, have that opportunity. He acknowledges that Seattle is his hometown. Well, not his hometown, but this is where the football gave him an opportunity. Back when he started, he could have done football. He also could have done baseball. He chose with football, and it took him wonders. Went to a couple of Super Bowls with that opportunity. And Seattle has really given him the foundation of being a great athlete and a recognizable quarterback out of Seattle. And although he's moving on to bigger and different things, and hopefully Denver can find their feet underneath them to get on a some sort of winning streak here. I appreciate, I like how Russell Wilson stayed humble to the fans in Seattle. So an interesting game last night. A lot of things went on. That means, like I said, the wrap of NFL Week 1, which means I could give you. I think I'm 9-16 on Week 1, which isn't too bad. But I'd obviously like to be better. Um, like I said, we're gonna have a short week to this week. We're doing a show today, take you up until 11 o'clock, and then we'll be back tomorrow, and then Friday we will be off Thursday through a couple of things that I have to get done. So we won't be here on Thursday. So tomorrow we will talk about Thursday night football. Heavenly tomorrow. I'll give you my predictions for Thursday night football, and then when I come back on Friday, I will give you my predictions for the rest of the week and how that will turn out. Which means today I want to kind of recap a couple of games that really caught my attention, that really caught me by surprise. The Steelers and the Bengals. We'll talk a little bit more about them. A couple of teams that probably should have won, and what does that mean? What do I think it means? For example, the Patriots. All right, this is a team who went to Miami at the beginning of the week, and by the way, they haven't had success in Miami, so they decided that they were going to Miami at the beginning of the week so that they can acclimate themselves to the weather, to the humidity, and that still didn't work out for them. We'll talk about the Buccaneers and Dak Prescott and Sunday Night Football. We'll just kind of breaking down a few games that I think is a little bit more important, and what does that mean, and where do I take that at? I listened to a little bit of um, Cincinnati Reds last night, taking on the Pirates. They lost 6-3, so we'll cover that highlight. But we'll come up with some baseball news. I want to talk about some of the new rules that are being put into place in 2023 for Major League Baseball. You got the pitch clock down and wind. You also have shoot, you have there's no more shifts being included here. So a lot of things that we are some things that are changing in next year's baseball season. But before we could get to that, we got to get to finish off and find out who is going to the World Series this year. And by doing that, we've been following some of the teams. Like I said, today is a big day. If you're listening to some baseball, what to listen out for today as well. Just some news just going around. We'll love to talk about that in the baseball world. Also, Monday Night Raw highlights. I don't know about you, but the Judgment Day, in my opinion, ran. They made the entire show about the Judgment Day, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We have new number one contender for the United States Championship, and we also have new SmackDown or new women's, tag team champions as Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez lost their match last night, and things are looking bright. 3 hours of entertainment. I didn't get a chance to really watch a lot of it. Saw the highlights and I read some articles, so I'm excited to talk about that. All right, we got to take a break here early on, but don't go nowhere. We'll take you guys up until 11 o'clock. A lot to talk about here. Thank you guys for tuning in to the
Miner goes to work now against Reynolds. Here's the first pitch, and Reynolds sends it out to deep left field, and Friedel back on this one, and there it goes, a home run for Brian Reynolds. On the first pitch he sees, Reynolds homers to left, and the Pirates lead 1-0.
Must be listening to us down there, Joe. Both hitters, the first two hitters, Kevin Newman and Brian Reynolds, up there ready to swing the bat. The first fastball that both of them they put good swings on. This one, Brian Reynolds was able to get a fastball elevated just above the strike zone. He put a good swing on it, barreled that thing up pretty good. I got out of here in a hurry.
Lined into left, Allen with a good jump, dives and makes the catch. Greg Allen sprinting toward the line, diving headlong, and he snared it. That was a good one.
That was a really good one. Full extension, laying out, full speed. Nice catch.
Greg Allen certainly seems to have it. And now to the plate, the 1-2 pitch. And Aquino swings, puts a charge into it, left field and deep, and it is gone. 2-run shot for Aristides Aquino, his 8th home run of the year, and it puts the Reds on top 2-1.
I like the swing that he had in his first at bat, and I like that one even better. But that's what made me say about the home run.
Well, actually, Aquino had a couple of good swings in that first at bat. One he pulled foul, the one he lined to left that Allen made the diving catch on.
There's that little toe tap, which allows him to get into good hitting position and no panic. There's the tap. And you know he's got the power.
Rodolfo has walked and struck out tonight. Here's the center of the pitch. Swinging a fly ball to left, deep. Friedel back, warning track, and gone into the first row in left. Rodolfo Castro hits a 3-run homer, and the Pirates take the lead back. It's 4-2.
Congratulations to Rodolfo Castro. Nice piece of hitting. Got something up a little bit that It was a change up, upper part of the zone, and with a couple of guys out on those bags.
Castillo was hitting .246 with 3 homers in 35 games with the AAA Indianapolis Indians.
Swinging a fly ball to left. This one's hit well. Friedel back on this one. It's gone. A line drive. Home run. Diego Castillo. And the Pirates pick up 2 more here in the 5th. It's 6-2 Pirates. Welcome back, Diego.
No kidding. We asked to see his first hit since being back, and he sure does go ahead and deliver. I was just talking about Key Brian Hayes coming across to score to give us one more run. Diego says, you know what, I'll see your one, and I'll give you another.
6-3 Pirates go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Bouncing ball to third, and Hayes will step on the bag, raise it in Cincinnati. Will Crow gets the save. Pirates raise the Jolly Roger. They hit 3 homers. Reynolds, Castro, Castillo.
All righty. Well, you got the Pirates beating those Cincinnati Reds 6-3 final score. Mike Minor picks up the loss. He only goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs total, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 3 home runs allowed. ERA goes to 5.78, while Wilson goes 5 2/3 of an inning, allowing 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 1 home run. Like I said, the Pirates and the Reds have a doubleheader today. But one thing that, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. One thing that they're looking into whenever you have to deal with the doubleheader, I think it's kind of frustrating when you kind of expect more coming out of the previous day starter. For example, Mike Minor. He's 4-11 on the season. He picked up a loss last night. He only went 5 innings, and I think you would have expected a veteran like Minor to go about 6 innings as long as possible. Canoe win an inning, Law win an inning, Farmer win an inning, as well as Strickland win an inning as well. And that's 4 guys that, you could come out and have them pitch to later on today. But you got, especially coming into today's doubleheader, you're going to need your pitching staff to be on point, because you really don't want to, overwork your bullpen. You really don't want them to come in, have to get to the bullpen by the 5th inning. You don't want you don't want to be able to, come down to the second game and overwork them, especially since you're going to come up with a 5-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals this weekend. So a little frustrated there. What you were seeing, I'll put it down this way. I want to win. I want the Reds to beat the Pirates. All right. The Pirates are in dead last. All right. There's no reason why the Pirates should be beating the Cincinnati Reds, or it should even be a competition. All right. You got a doubleheader today, and you've already used 4 guys out of your bullpen. All right. And I'll get down to the starting pitching for today's game here in a bit. But what I want to point out is that you got 3 more games against the Pirates coming up in this series. All right, there's no reason why you can't come back around, and I say at least split the series, if not take the series. What does that mean? Is that you got to win today, and you at least got to win 1 today and 1 tomorrow. And I just don't know if the Cincinnati Reds, want to do that. They, for a while, they play well, and then they have struggles. They seem to have more struggles than not. But, one thing, I was listening to the game, and listen, when a team's not playing well and you're still calling the game, and you're still, you're calling the game like it's a big game, you really put different, perspectives in line for fans and for listeners to view. For example, I was listening to the game last night, and I was listening to Aquino in his home run that he had in last night's game. And you start to realize is that these teams that aren't playing to sabotage a postseason playoff opportunity, what they're doing is that they're, you have all these younger guys that are making their case for next season. I don't know if Aquino is going to be on the team next season, but a home run. And if he could get on the hot streak and get something going with the bat at the end of this season, well, it's going to give the Cincinnati Reds a difficult, decision to make. Hey, should we still invest into Aquino? Should we give him another season, or is he a blue chip bargaining trying to get him onto the trade market? Same thing for Nick Senzel. Donovan Solano. If Donovan Solano wants to play next year, this is the time for him to shine. Right? I mean, the Reds ain't really playing well. They moved to 56 and 83. I mean, if Donovan Solano, former San Francisco Giants player, Cincinnati Reds picked up as a free agent this offseason, but if he's looking to find a ball club, whether he gets re-signed with the Cincinnati Reds or whether he gets picked up by a different team, this is the time in the month of September where he needs to be playing better than anyone else, because he has a lot to prove to another ball club, another organization. All right, when you take a look at a guy like Steer and Friedel and Fraley and Lopez, these guys are all trying to make their cases on why they should be on the opening day roster or at spring training next year for the Cincinnati Reds. Same thing goes for Pittsburgh. Right? These guys, Hayes, Castro, Reynolds, Newman, some of these guys are already determined, hey, I'm going to be on next year's roster as long as, you stay out of trouble and you're healthy. But there's a lot of these guys that are making cases, and it kind of just gives you the perspective of why the Cincinnati Reds are still trying to fight to win each ball game. You look down at the pitching rotation as well. You think Wilson wants to make a claim on why he wants to be a starter next year. He's 3-8. He has a 6.03 ERA, not the something to remember by, but you think Wilson would want to come out and give you the last couple outings as a good outing to give anyone who's looking to pick up a pitcher next year an opportunity. Look at Mike Minor. Most likely Mike Minor is going to be a free agent after the end of the season. Mike Minor is going to need to be looking, job hunting, all right? Does 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs allowed, and 3 home runs allowed help build that resume for a team that wants to contend? I mean, to pick him up or to want to offer him a contract? He's 4-11 on the season. I don't think so. I mean, Hunter Strickland, I gave a lot of props at the beginning of the year for Hunter Strickland. And I mean, I have to, eat those words because, he's 5.13 ERA. So, I mean, there's a lot of cases for a lot of these younger guys, and there's cases and, resume building for a lot of these older guys that are most likely not going to be on a ball club next year. And if they want to be on a ball club and get that contract, then they have to figure something out. All right. Let's step aside here. When we come back, we'll take a look around Major League Baseball. Aaron Judge is on this path to hit 65 home runs. That continues tonight as we watch out for that. Mike Trout homers in 7 straight games, one shy of the AL/NL record. So we'll take that down. We'll look at the games to watch. I told you yesterday if we were watching games Milwaukee and St. Louis, and we'll talk about all that, break that down, the scoreboard in Major League Baseball. The pennant race is still on, and the updated standings, plus a lot more still to come. You guys are listening to the Throw-In with Justin here on a Tuesday on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, 9:42 here on the Throw-In with Justin, right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. The TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel is proud to be using StreamYard Studios, the proud home of TNC Sports Talk, and where you can create your podcast, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and more. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. All right, so taking a look around Major League Baseball here, a lot of things are coming down to the wire as we have a few weeks left in Major League Baseball before the playoff, and I'm excited about the playoffs this year. A lot of teams expected to rise to the occasion. The big question coming out here to some personal records, because we can always look at the standings here. Aaron Judge sits at 55 home runs right now. The current pace is at 63. In Yankees, he could set an AL and Yankee record of 62 home runs if he could get there. So the question is that he can't even get to 60. I mean, that doesn't look like an unreasonable task at the way he is going. But I mean, 55 home runs is a ridiculous amount set alone. And you think that maybe eventually he would like a payday. Man, I think that's so unsurreal moment. Does that make you want to watch or tune into the Yankees? And that's the problem with baseball today is, all right, you got to sit around for some historical records such as, all right, 55 home runs and the pace is 63. Well, you have 3 weeks left. You don't know if he's going to hit a home run each and every day. And there's about 20 plus games left for the Yankees schedule. So we'll be keeping that out as well. Can Pujols get 700 home runs? He only needs 3 left. He's at 697. And I think what's interesting about this case is that, Pujols was trying the other day. Pujols hit 697. I want to say it was 697. And he surpasses Alex Rodriguez and becomes the 4th all-time home run leader. And the fans were willing to give him that home run ball back. He surpassed Alex Rodriguez, and I thought that was the greatest thing. Not normally fans. They usually want bats, gloves, pitchers. Meet the players, go behind home plate, get something out of it. Well, Pujols says, "Hey, listen, guess what? You keep the baseball. I don't want it. I'll probably keep my 700th baseball when I hit it, and I'm pretty sure he'll get there this year." And on top of that, he was like, he said, on top of that, he gave the fans 2 additional signed autograph baseballs. I thought that was the most coolest things. I didn't start appreciating Pujols until after he went to Los Angeles and played for the Angels. So hopefully he gets to home run number 700 here in the next few weeks. Can Paul Goldschmidt, on the other case, win the Triple Crown this year as well? And where to sit to catch a historic Judge homer? All right, as we talk about Aaron Judge on the race to 62, 63. And that would be something that if he could get there, there's some milestones there. Like I said, also take a look at Mike Trout. He's on the verge of hitting. He's hit 7 consecutive home runs. He's hit a home run in 7 consecutive games. And when he's one more shy away from the American League National League record. Take a look at the scoreboard from yesterday. Interesting games that up ahead. I told you the doubleheader out of Texas and Miami. They split that series. Guardians beat the Angels, retaining the first place lead. Their Blue Jays trying to make their case in the playoff run, beating the Tampa Bay Rays 3-2. The Dodgers shut out the Diamondbacks 6-0. The Cubs. And here's a series to watch this week. The Cubs and the Mets, and then the Braves and the Giants. Well, both the Mets and the Braves lost. And if you're looking for a series trying to a division in the National League East, trying to play there, the standings from looking in at the wild card spot, we're still looking at the same. Nothing's changed from either perspective. A lot of games are playing today. We take a look at some of the games and some of the important games to look out for as of today. Okay, Boston New York's over in Boston, keeping an eye on Aaron Judge there. Seattle's taking on the Padres. The Padres trying to hold that third place wild card, maybe gain above the Philadelphia Phillies. And with Toronto's victory last night over Tampa Bay, all right, Tampa Bay falls on a 3-game losing streak, as Tampa Bay is now in the third position of the wild card, and Toronto moved up to the second. They continue their series tonight with each other. Baltimore 5.5 games out. They begin their 2-game series against the Washington Nationals. Chicago's over in Colorado as well, or home to Colorado. Over on the National League side, always nice just to follow the Dodgers trying to win 100 games. They're sitting at 97. I'm sure that I'm averaging about 100, maybe 107, 110 at most. New York is over in Chicago, is home to Chicago, as the Braves are on the road to San Francisco. They continue their series tonight. St. Louis plays hosts the Milwaukee Brewers tonight in their series. They get a chance to do. St. Louis gets a chance to do something. If the Padres and the Phillies get to have a good series, Philadelphia kicks off in Miami. If Philadelphia and San Diego could come away with a couple of victories this week, and St. Louis takes care of business against Milwaukee, you're looking at possibly, like I said, another ruin opportunity for a postseason shot. So that's what we're looking out for this weekend. For Cincinnati Reds fans, local around town, the Reds have a doubleheader, a matter of fact, today. Let me get to that here as well. Game 1 kicks off at 12:35 p.m. We have Johan Oviedo on for the mound for the Pirates. He's last pitched on the 7th of September, where he lost the game in an inning and 2/3. He's given up 4 runs off of 5 RBIs and 5 walks and 2 strikeouts. He's 2-2 on the season, 3.980 ERA. He's 30 innings pitched and 32 strikeouts. He'll be going up against. Take a look at that here. An unnamed announced yet. The Reds have still yet announced the starting pitcher for today for both games. And for game 2, which is going to be held at 6:40, we have Luis Ortiz that's making his major league debut in this for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He hasn't played He hasn't played in the major leagues yet this season, so we'll keep an eye out for that, from my understanding. So he's only had minor league careers so far in 2022. He's 5-9, 5.46 ERA in 26 games. He's pitched 124 innings, and like I mentioned, coming out of this doubleheader series for Cincinnati, you really want to just dive deep into the starting pitching. You expect him to go 5-6 innings both, limit the bullpen, and realistically, let's dive on into trying to pick up a couple of victories. I don't want to. I kind of, like I said, I still want the Reds to finish off strong. I definitely don't want them to finish last, and so there are things in order for that to happen. You got taking place. All right. Wrapping up on baseball here at the bottom of the hour, number 1 here. A couple of things taking place starting next season. And so these are some in Major League Baseball adjustments that over the past couple years, with a couple of test trials down in the minor leagues and a couple of surveys from the fans, these are things that probably are trying, that baseball is trying to help improve in the game. And one of the things that is big coming out of this one here is the elimination of the shift. All right. There won't be any starting next year. The shift, there must be 2 players on each side of the bags, and the infielders must have both feet on the dirt. And this is, this may create more opportunities. This is more strategies on some of the players, but I take away that this is the bigger one, the biggest, rule change of 2023 season. I'm, going back to the simplicity of baseball. I don't know. Maybe the shift has been overused tremendously over the last few years. See what I'd like to see, matter of fact, happen, and this may be another rule change down the road. Is that I like the shift. All right, but I like the teams to be limited on when they can use the shift, so that it has to be more of a strategic rule, because now we're seeing some sort of shift done and held on each and every player. And I think that's just, absurd. Now, as a hitter, okay, you should be able to learn, hey, let's take the ball opposite field. I like to see, the challenges. But what you're going to see out of the elimination of the shift is that now pitchers are going to have to locate their pitches more precisely. They're going to have to work on isolating their pitches to the upper right hand corner, bottom left, whatever the case may be, towards these pitchers. So you're going to force the pitchers to improve, because now these pitchers used to have to just be able to throw a ball down the middle and let the batter do the work and hit it right into where they normally hit it. And then what these batters are going to have to do is also make that adjustment, right? I'm always an old fashioned about, 2 strikes, let's hit it the opposite field. We don't see that often anymore. So maybe that's something that changes as well. The other thing that also changed as well is, I guess, the bags are getting a little bit bigger, and that's going to make it harder, where the catchers are going to have to throw faster. The position players have to really, swipe, hound down on their tags there. But hopefully we get to see more base running aggressiveness. Right. One thing we don't see is a lot of stolen bases as we used to, and that's because of that. And so hopefully with enlarging the the bags, we can see more opportunities of base stealing. This is going to also probably, to be honest, in my opinion, it's probably going to also lose the pickoff attempt at first base, because you have more of the extra bag that that the first baseman has to cover, and unless they have like a 20-yard feed, it's going to be much more difficult. I mean, these guys, rarity that you catch them napping, so that's something that you have to keep an eye on. So I don't know. I mean, that'll be fine for me. You don't worry about the guy on first base. Pitch it, let the catcher do the throwing behind the plate, and it may work for the pitchers to make that deliverance to the plate a lot quicker, a lot sooner. And the last thing I think is going to create a lot of controversy is that pitch clock being enforced. I believe it's like I want to say it's like 18. It's within like the 30 seconds. You have to throw the pitch, and there's about a 10-second for the for the batter that has to step back into the batter's box there. I don't, listen, some players like to take their time. I think for the old veterans, guys like Verlander, guys like, I know Brain White's out the door. I know that, but guys like Verlander and some of those older guys that are still hanging around, they like to take their time. All right. This is, baseball used to be, set your own pace game. And obviously they're trying to change that. They're trying to make that, more of a fast tempo. So I think it's like a 19-second before time frame where before you have to throw your pitch in between batters or in between pitches, which is going to force the pitcher to get back to the mound quicker, set quicker, deliver, and it's going to also make the batter have to get stop lollygagging out there, wandering around trying to fix his glove or fix his bat or his cleat or whatever the case may be. So some interesting changes happening to baseball next year, and we'll dive more into that and I'm fascinated to see how the dynamic of how it's going to change the game. All right, hour number 1 here is complete. Heading into hour number 2, want to talk a little bit about NFL as week 1 wrapped up between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Let's not forget, also still to come here tonight, to this morning, we're going to share some highlights and thoughts about the WWE in Monday Night Raw. Very, very entertaining, and it's only seeming to get better and better each week. So that's still to come. Hour number 2 coming up next. You guys are listening to The Throne with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk. Alrighty, here on number 2 here of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, The Throne with Justin. Thank you guys for tuning in. And man, first week of NFL has come and gone, and I'm excited that it has come and gone. Now, yesterday I told you guys that the NFL kind of resembles or kind of reminds me in week 1 how the NFL was last season, where it was any given Sunday and anything could possibly happen. And that's what's so wonderful about football, is especially about the National Football League, is that there's 18 weeks. All right. There's not much time. They play once a week, and anything could happen. Literally anything could happen. And we saw that clearly last week in week 1. Now, I came to you and I picked my teams that I thought that was going to win. All right, and that's what I'm going to do each and every week. My goal is just to see how many teams I get correct. All right, I may not be perfect at it. I may not be great at it, but the goal is just to see how many teams or how many games I can win off of picking every game that is happening in the NFL this season. We did it last year on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. If you guys like to be involved and play in, leave it down below in the comments, DM me, and definitely listen. If you want to text me, send it to me. I'll be more than willing to share with you. Alrighty, hold on one second. Is that better? All right. All right, bear with me 1 second while I get my microphone fixed here. All righty. If you guys are listening and if I have microphone issues, I apologize here. I was noticing that coming back at the top of the hour. I wanted to make sure I fixed that because I know the interference. You guys are hearing that as well in this case. Hopefully that did the trick, and we'll keep an eye on it for the rest of the day. That is disturbing a little bit. Very sensitive there. All right, let's work off of this, and hopefully we'll get whatever is wrong fixed in time, or the due time here. But I want to continue as we talk about the NFL and any given Sunday. That's the key thing. And like I said, just like yesterday, or just like last season, this past week, we saw some upsets. Now, I mean, I don't want to speak too prematurely when it comes down to teams that have, I don't want to say complications, but when I felt pretty confident coming into last Thursday, picking teams that I thought was going to win. I really did. I felt confident. I felt like I was, that I was, going to win most of the games. And for me, the goal is getting about 9 to 10 each and every week. Then now that means that you have to dive into the football world, right? You have to, listen to other podcasts, listen to what other people are saying. I'm not the most, I don't know everything about football. I played a little bit in the high school. I started getting into it in high school, and that's pretty much it. But when you look at some of these teams and the teams that you like and the teams that you don't like, it's very easy to start going around here and just week one allegations and giving in your own opinion. All right, so I'm going to go down this list really quick. I kind of want to just put my, put my 2 cents into where I think what's going on. I want to start off with last night, Denver and Seattle. I know we opened up the show talking about Denver and we talked about Seattle, but I really want to talk to them more and more so again, just because, listen, Russell Wilson, although he handled, the loss very well, he didn't. This must be a big blow, and not because Russell Wilson didn't get the job done. It's because the coaching decisions made at the end of the game. Okay, I mean, you practically handed Pete Carroll a victory when he should have started the season off 0-1. All right, there's no excuse, and I question what the coaching staff has to do this week in order to fix their problems. You put a lot into McManus, and not saying that McManus couldn't kick a 64-yard field goal, but in Seattle, okay, in the loud environment. I mean, I remember, this was disclosed, many years ago, that Seattle and Kansas City are the 2 most loudest stadiums, and being a road team doesn't make it easier. And there was a clear opportunity for the Denver Broncos to advance further and further and further. I mean, and if I'm going to lose a game, I'd rather throw an interception because I'm trying to get my team closer to the field goal opportunity than try to have a guy kick a ridiculous number, 64 yards. Man. So in last week, not only we had Russell Wilson returning to Seattle, facing his former team, but we had Baker Mayfield facing his former team in the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm not buying into the Cleveland Browns. All right, I don't think that the Cleveland Browns are anything, and I'm actually very surprised that they were able to contend a lot better than the Patriots contended against the Dolphins, this past week against the Panthers. But I'm not buying into the Cleveland Browns quite yet. But what I am going to point out is that, I made a bold prediction. I made a left field prediction that no one ever thought was possibly going to happen. And that was, I'm sorry to even second question my prediction last week, where I think that the Carolina Panthers and Baker Mayfield, I come to you and I tell you that Baker Mayfield, this is an opportunity, right? All right, this is an opportunity for Baker Mayfield to have a fresh start, to be able to change, not change, but to reinvent himself. All right, I don't think that Baker Mayfield is a bad quarterback, and I think that he has a good team on his shoulders to carry down the NFC South. But the problem that you're going to run into if you're Baker Mayfield, okay, the problem that you're running into is just the simplicity of, hey, let's get the job done. You had the fan support, and you come up short by 2 points. Now, don't ask me how the Cleveland Browns pulled off a victory against the Panthers. when they don't have their starting quarterback. They relied on the run game that the defense of Carolina was not prepared for. And you'd think that after playing a few years in Cleveland, that Mayfield had a little bit of insight to maybe help the team. But wait, I forgot he's not Tom Brady. I don't think Baker Mayfield's a bad quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. As a matter of fact, I think after he gets comfortable in the NFC South, then he has an opportunity to be a better quarterback. He's going to get a chance to go up against some really great guys, especially a guy like Tom Brady. But picking up a loss, man, against your former team, I mean, you're just basically telling the Cleveland Browns that they made the right decision, which I still believe that they made the worst decision in NFL history by picking up a guy who was suspended for 2/3 of the season, which I absolutely hate, and a guy that should have been, and then, on top of that, getting rid of Baker Mayfield. All right, I'm just going to run through some more teams that surprised. Very shocked in the Chicago Bears, okay? 19-10 over the 49ers back on Sunday. And, I heard that, there's a lot of injuries going around. And I don't want to make that excuses for why a team can or can't win. The issue that I see with San Francisco, and this is just the issue that I see. It may not be the correct issue. It may not be the main issue, but this is the issue that I see with the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. I see the issue that they have two quarterbacks that want to be starting position. Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, is a starting quarterback. I believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback over Trey Lance, in my opinion. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo signed a backup, quarterback position against, for the 49ers, playing behind Trey Lance. I don't know what the 49ers see in Trey Lance, and I just probably haven't seen enough of Trey Lance to make that decision yet. All right. But in my opinion, why not, when you bring in both Garoppolo and both Lance, who, I mean, at least now, there has to be some sort of, I'm only assuming there's some sort of heat. All right. There's some sort of unsettling, walking on eggshells with each other. It's going to bring a little bit of controversy in that locker room. It's going to bring the atmosphere is going to be a little different. Okay. For Chicago, listen, this is the big win. You know how bad the North is. Right? The fact that Minnesota beat the Green Bay and Green Bay still has a proper, great opportunity of winning that division. Chicago needs all the help they could get. I'm a big fan of Justin Fields. I'm a bigger fan of Fields than I am of Trevor Lawrence. But and this is the second year for Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. And you know what they say about quarterbacks and about superstars and talent being made. They are made on their second year of, being in a professional league. And when it comes down to quarterbacks, it is not the rookie season. It's the second season, right? Josh Allen didn't make his case on his rookie year. Patrick Mahomes was making his case his rookie year, but then he really solidified it the second year that he was in the NFL. Joe Burrow did the same thing. He played his rookie year. He was already on a bad team. He was already he got hurt, right? And then his second year, he comes back and has a great year. Justin Herbert just seems to get better. Tom Brady gets better and better. The second year is the year that you decide if you're going to make it or break it in the NFL. It's the second year, and then it's the fourth year, right? You got to be able to recap after each other. So this is the year for Justin Fields and for Trevor Lawrence to give everything they have that they could possibly have to determine if that they're capable of being in the NFL for the next 5 to 10 years. And Justin Fields, hey, this is a start. And I think it's a good start. I don't know if they're going to get far, but it's a good start. All right, we got to get to a break. I want to continue talking about, I got a few more teams I want to talk about here. And before we jump into professional wrestling, still a lot to talk about with the WWE. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to The Throw-In with Justin. We'll be right back. All right, 10:22 here on the throw-in, taking you guys up until noon, 11. Gosh, I'm thinking until noon. I'm so used to being back with the 10 to noon show here, and this morning I'm having so much fun, because oh gosh, just as soon as I got on the first break I caught on, I got notified. I was told that the iOS 16. Yeah, iOS 16 got was update on the iPhones are available, and so we updated our phones. I'm still updating my phone throughout the breaks, and trying to look at all this stuff and just the cool features that my fiance is first thing that she does as soon as she gets the iOS, it sends me a message just to unsend it just to see how that works. And now she's kind of, I guess, you on the lock screen you can change, add pictures and have it on a cycle, so each time when you open up it's a new picture, and so that's what she's working on off of my phone right now. But yeah, we're getting back into the NFL. I want to kind of wrap up the last few thoughts that I have of this past week before we really start approaching into next week, tomorrow. And there's a lot of games that I think still shock people. I know Tom Brady won his game 19-3 against the Cowboys, and that's included with Dak Prescott being out with an injury, and he's going to miss a good chunk of the season. Now I'm a little worried because I chose the Dallas Cowboys. Excuse me, I chose the Dallas Cowboys as your NFC East winners, and to see Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, and they're going to have a tough battle this weekend as the Cincinnati Bengals head into town, into Dallas. It's going to be a tough first half of the season because of losing their star quarterback, and I think that takes maybe a little bit of the wind out of Dallas. But I don't know. I still think maybe I'm saying this because I want Tom Brady to prove me wrong. And that's why Tom Brady's back in the NFL, right? That's why he retired for 43 days, because he wants to come back and prove people wrong. This was a kid that was hardly even drafted and had to earn his way, and he's earned everything he's got, a future Hall of Famer. That's why we call him the GOAT. And Sunday night he proved just why he's back in the NFL. Obviously, he will like to make one last run and one last Super Bowl championship, and I think that he can do it, but I don't think that the team has the same atmosphere as it did a few years back. No Gronkowski, and on top of that, you're starting to see Tom Brady as a human being, a guy who is has a family at home, and for the last 20 plus years decided to choose the NFL over his family. And there's been many of times that he's already been asked and already thought about hanging up his cleats. And, when that time comes, so be it. What ruins my Tom Brady going into retirement for me is that he's already been there, done that. He's already attempted to retire, earlier this year, and then he comes back. When a player does that, it really just it doesn't really make it any more emotional when he actually does retire, in my thought process. But Tom Brady may have issues this year, and this is the reason why I didn't choose the Buccaneers as division winners, is because Tom Brady may have family issues coming closer to especially this year's holiday. And when outside of work gets caught up into your mental state and mental health and well-being, you could definitely see the effect while you're at your job. So we'll see how that goes. I still stick with the Panthers, just because, like I said, that's my division. Can't go nothing wrong with that. Minnesota over in home to Green Bay, beating them 23-7. A team that Green Bay, listen, Aaron Rodgers, he has his work cut out for him. He has to deal with a lot of rookies, receivers. There was a lot of plays on Sunday. I think I mentioned this yesterday that he should have caught, that should have been caught and should have been made, and that these receivers are still learning. And so we still didn't get that. And then on top of that, I think my question is for Aaron Rodgers. All right, you're going to be tested, and you're a veteran. You're a Super Bowl champion, and you play for the Green Bay Packers. You say that you are a great quarterback, which I don't think a lot of people disagree with. But this is a new type of era for football, right? You've already been played with the best. You've already had the best on your team. Now you have to train people. You have to coach people, receivers and players, to be just as good as you. And so there comes a level of patience with a lot of these younger kids. So does Aaron Rodgers have the patience? How long will he have the patience for? And is his coaching ability is going to be enough to help bring this Packers team to another NFC North championship? All right. I want to jump into Miami Dolphins. I thought this was funny. I thought maybe just for a moment, okay, that the New England Patriots had a slight chance over the Miami Dolphins in Miami. Now, we already know. All right, what did we know? What did we knew? Okay, that Miami dominated New England, especially in Miami over the last few years. Yes, because the atmosphere and the heat and the humidity is different from New England. And Bill Belichick, trying to take the sense of urgency, knowing that they're playing the Dolphins in week 1 and it's going to be hot and it's going to be humid. All right, they took a chance and they went down to Miami a week prior to the game to practice. And you know how Bill Belichick is. You know how Bill Belichick plays, and it failed. It still failed. All right. Bill Belichick is wanting to coach and win another Super Bowl. I've talked to him plenty about this over this past week. And it's an importance that Bill Belichick tries to win another Super Bowl to prove that he's just as good as Tom Brady. And, not a good start, 0-1 on the season. Colts Texans tied at walked away. Only game that was tied this week. Hopefully, I don't know what that says about anything or anyone, because the Titans did lose to the Giants 21-20, and then the Jacksonville lost to the Commanders. And then I want to last thing to finish off here with the conversation with the Steelers and the Bengals. My final thoughts. Listen, both teams. I still feel that the Cincinnati Bengals were the better team on the field. Okay, they had better offensive drives. They had a really good defense that only kept the Steelers to 20 points, or at least to 17 points throughout the game. But there was a lot of off perspective. The offensive line, the whole off season, of movement was to embetter your offensive line. So, we didn't see any of that, and hopefully it's just going to take some time. Joe Burrow was a little off. I don't know if that was the jitterbugs. I don't know if this is the Bengals because the Bengals from, hey, we won the AFC, we celebrated, we're finally, not only you celebrated, but you come back and you get recognized in front of the crowd, your home crowd. And I don't know if that played any factor into it. They head over to Dallas this week, and okay, things are settled. All right, players, you missed some field goals. I get it, but all right, so things are settled. The way that they ended the game, a lot of people are saying that the Steelers and the ending to the Steelers and Bengals game were insane. No, it wasn't. All right, the reason why you had trouble in playing, in overtime is because you didn't have a long snapper, which they just signed the long snapper from the practice squad, which is which you need a long snapper for. You never do normally have a go into the game with the backup long snapper because you never have to use them. So hopefully that solves the issue. It's a game that the Bengals should have won. They knew that, and hopefully they correct action here this week against the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so. That's all said and fine and dandy. If there's anything else, I will get to that at a later date. Enough talking about baseball, enough talking about football. I want to talk about some professional wrestling because Monday Night Raw once again, I felt was a blast. All right, Judgment Day ran Monday Night Raw, new women's tag team champions, Theory, Kevin Owens having a brawl, and a lot more to come. So let's finish off this show with the bang. Let's come back and start talking about some some Monday Night Raw. Johnny Gargano makes his debut, in-ring debut on Monday Night Raw, and Edge versus Dominic. We'll see how that goes. More to come here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, 10:39 here, taking you guys up until 11 on the throw-in with Justin. I want to remind everyone that we will be back again tomorrow from 9 to 11. We're off on Thursday and we'll be back Friday to wrap up the week. So tomorrow we'll talk about Thursday Night Football. We'll talk about the doubleheader that the Reds have with the Pirates. We'll get you guys ready for AEW Dynamite, which you have Jon Moxley taking on Sammy Guevara. And then you also have Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida taking on Serena Deeb and Dr. Britt Baker. That's going to be all on Dynamite tomorrow night. And then on Friday, we'll get you ready. We'll talk a little bit about Dynamite. We'll give you our football picks, get you ready for the weekend with the Reds and the Cardinals because they have a doubleheader on Saturday. And then we'll also talk to you about Friday Night SmackDown. Before we talk about Monday Night Raw, I want to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound that plays the music for us here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Discover world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. All right, Monday Night Raw was last night, and I don't know about you, but I've been pleased about what WWE has been putting out there over the last several weeks. Obviously, since the so-called Triple H era in professional wrestling. And, there's a lot of work that Triple H has to do. And he's on the right path of accomplishing that. And, we're seeing things that I think people are now entertained and wanting to tune in. And if you got a chance to go to a Monday Night Raw, I think if you got a chance to go to AEW, because that is a new product and it's a fresh product, then you go. I remember that I was always disappointed because NXT would come in the middle of the week and I would have to work and I couldn't watch NXT. And I wanted to watch NXT so badly. Okay, that was my desire to go to a live NXT show because NXT had such great talent. Let's talk about Aleister Black and Andrade and we had the Undisputed Era and Velveteen Dream and all those guys. And living in San Diego, they didn't make West Coast trips that often. They didn't do no live shows. So whenever they did come out to San Diego and on a tour, going to maybe Vegas or going to Los Angeles, so we tried to go, and I couldn't go because it was in the middle of the Tuesday, Wednesday night. I couldn't go to a show. It was just such a bummer. But I remember the last WWE event or last wrestling event, a WWE event that I attended was back in the middle of January, and I kind of was very disappointed in the outcome of how that show happened. Now, I think there was some interesting things that took place, but for what's it worth, for me at that moment, it wasn't worth going. Now, asking you the question, if Raw came into town, wherever you guys are at, would you not hesitate and buy tickets? Would Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown be a must go, in my opinion. Now, and here's the other one. If Monday Night Raw and SmackDown came together, which one would you choose? Right now, I would choose Monday Night Raw. I think that there's a lot of developing storylines that is so unpredictable on Raw that makes you want to go. Don't get me wrong. SmackDown's a great product, and it's still on top. In my opinion, SmackDown is still on top than anyone else. But what we've seen over the last few weeks on Raw is storylines being created, being generated. We're seeing feuds being disclosed on Raw. We're seeing the Judgment Day, that fraction being formed. And the problem is on SmackDown is that the Bloodline has already been there. It's already done that. And they've already have established themselves, so to speak. So each and every week, you're just waiting for that next guy to either come in and try to ruin. And right now, as of late, you've already known the results from it. Or what you're seeing, and I think at that point, I've had plenty of men who has come in trying to overthrow Roman Reigns and has failed. So I'm kind of, I've given up too easily, but I've kind of given up on people overthrowing Roman Reigns. Now, it's still when it does happen, because it will eventually happen, it's going to be a shock to me. It's going to be something that I will be excited about. Okay, I've told you guys from week one, back before WrestleMania, that I still think Roman Reigns should be dethroned. For one, personal health reasons. For two, getting ready for WrestleMania. And this is the big if it comes down to Roman and The Rock to be the highlight of WrestleMania 39 now in Hollywood. So what does that put me here? I'm sitting back, putting my hands in my lap, and I wait for SmackDown. But in the meantime, I am watching Monday Night Raw. This is a show that I've been entertained with the last couple weeks. There's been developing stories. My favorite thing going on right now, and I remember when they first broke out, the Judgment Day was not an entertaining, was actually a product that I think was going to fail. Okay. Especially when they left Edge and they kicked Edge out of the Judgment Day. Now, I think, listen, Finn Balor's a great leader. I think he's a good leader. I think it gives him a role, and the fact that he can compete also, I think it puts an edge over it. Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and it feels like when it comes down to the Judgment Day, there's not one person in charge at the end of the day. Okay, when we talk about this, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, they work together. And that's why I think they've been at least dominant as a duo fraction. Okay, adding on Rhea Ripley, going around and adding, picking up Dominic Mysterio. Now that Dominic Mysterio's addition, I think, was the best thing Dominic could ever do. You see, I think the family between Ray and Dominic was running a little stale. They won tag team gold. They've accomplished so much. They were on a little downward spiral. All right. And they needed a little bit of kick. And I know a lot of people want to say, I never want to see Ray and Dominic battle with each other. Well, guess what? It's going to have to happen because that's entertainment. That's what the fans want to see. And a matter of fact, I think in order for Dominic to get over something that we've been waiting for the last year, seeing Dominic beating a guy like Edge, like he did last night on Raw, even if it came to the hands of the entire Judgment Day, all right, and destruction of both Edge and Rey Mysterio and the announce table around the ring, that's what it's going to have to take. Dominic is going to have to build his own character on himself. And so what he's done, besides looking upon his father that was mentoring him the longest time, he's concluded outside his father to work alongside with the Judgment Day. And the Judgment Day is not here to hold his hand, but is here to pick him up when he's down. It's here to guide him. But he's building his own character now. He's building his own image. And sometimes being that bad guy is the image that you have to build in order to get over. Right? Not many guys can get over from being a baby face from the get-go. Okay? You're going to have to deal with, adversity. You're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of challenges, that comes his way. And, for the first couple of years of his career, he has taken those opportunities. He's made the most of them. I mean, no one can, who would have ever thought that a guy, Dominic Mysterio, or even a guy like Dominic Mysterio, getting a chance to come into, the WWE and have his first feud with Seth Rollins, all right, which Seth Rollins carried him and kind of helped bring him along, and then get a chance to win the tag team championships with his father. And, I just feel like, at this point, this is what's good for business. It is what's good for business because people want to see it. People want to see what's next for the Judgment Day. And Judgment Day came in last night on Raw, and they really dominated Raw. They came out with Riddle after Riddle scared Seth Rollins away and tried to recruit Riddle. All right. And it obviously didn't work. And that caused some problems. And, then you had a match. And throughout the night, what I really like to see about it, because it's not just one person, it's a group of people. And that's what I like about it, is that you saw the group of Judgment Day throughout the night, whether it's backstage in confrontations, out there in the ring. They opened the night, and they closed the night in a sense. So there is a lot looking up, and it's the way that the booking process went on why now I can get so far behind on the Judgment Day, and why this once form, attraction that I claimed probably back in May and April that was going to fail is now probably looking to be an uprise. Now, I've been told, there's rumors out there, and they're all just rumors, just so to speak, that, certain people could potentially be coming back to the WWE to make over and take over. See, I don't want no one to come over and take over Raw. There was a hint a little bit that that the new form of the Hurt Business could be forming. And, I'm like, no, I think the Judgment Day is good enough for now. I think they're still building. They're still establishing. It's taken them some time, but they're finally getting their feet wet, and they're finally getting themselves known, and they're getting acknowledged, right? They're going around, and I think what's also successful is that they're going around to recruit people. All right, unlike the Bloodline, who went around and said either you're with us, you're against us, and if you're against us, we're going to kick the living hell out of you. The Bloodline is the Judgment Day is, hey, if you're with us, you join us, and if you don't, we will kick the living hell out of you. Last night's image really said it all. Finn Balor beating Riddle to open up the night, and then you also had Dominic Mysterio taking on Edge. Now, I've already talked about how this is a new image and a really good look for Dominic Mysterio, and I think it's a very important victory that he had last night against the Rated R superstar Edge, because he needs a couple of big wins, and eventually we will see Dominic Mysterio. I mean, I can only assume we will see Dominic Mysterio face Rey Mysterio one-on-one. Now, after it's all said and done, I mean, Dominic, like I said, his own character. He doesn't have to follow in the footsteps of Rey Mysterio. All right, he's bigger than Rey Mysterio, and he's going to have to prove that he's quicker, faster, tougher than him. But Judgment Day wasn't just the highlight of Raw last night. Johnny Gargano makes his debut, in-ring debut against Chad Gable. It was a decent match. I think I'm a little lost. It's going to take me a few weeks or maybe a few months to get comfortable with Johnny Gargano. I do like that he is being compared and thrown into and having segments with Austin Theory, who now is supposedly supposed to be having a fight with Kevin Owens next week. And the thing is with Theory is that now the WWE athletes backstage is calling his BS. Right? We first started off with Dolph Ziggler, and then now then Johnny Gargano comes back and says something, and now it's going to be Kevin Owens. And what these guys are doing, what it is that the first half of the year for Austin Theory was practically spoon-fed to him in a way that he was being built up, and even if he wasn't, the fans didn't want him to be built up, he was built up. And I think this is a good chance for a while because, I think, he's the Money in the Bank winner. I don't think that the WWE wants to take the Money in the Bank briefcase off of him. Okay. I still think that the WWE wants to try to throw him at the face of the company, eventually becoming champion on Raw. I think that's where it's headed. But Theory plays the character that I think a lot of people don't like, and I think that's good for business. And until they find something for Theory, for now, I think it's good that he's going around and he's having to face the locker room. Now, I really do not want him, because we saw this happen with The Miz and Otis. I just didn't like it. I don't want him to cash in or lose that Money in the Bank contract to any other athlete. I want him to be able to have an opportunity to cash it in, but at the same time, that I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to build him up even quicker. All right, he's facing guys like Kevin Owens, and this is what I also enjoy about this kind of feud and rivalry. So while Johnny Gargano has his match with Chad Gable, which was, like I said, it was a decent match for what it's worth, and I don't think there was any particular rhyme or reason other than just to have a match. But Austin Theory comes out, gets involved after the match, and now you have that feud still progressing. Then Kevin Owens progresses with Austin Theory, so there is a dynamic. And there's a couple of different things that you could go off of. So if the Gargano and Theory feud doesn't go down, you could bounce back and go Theory and Owens, and vice versa. Other than that, we're expected to see Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, I believe, have a championship match as well. But Bianca Belair successfully defended her Raw Women's Championship against Sonya Deville, which, really good performance by Sonya Deville. I could finally see her as a woman wrestler other than a manager, which has taken some time to adjust and make that adjustment. And I like to see Sonya Deville, and like to see WWE revisit some of the old feuds once in a while, even if it's a knockoff or it's a one-timer. But we did have some new women's tag team champions crowned, and I don't know if this is a successful tag team. What do you guys think? Should Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez should have hold on to the women's tag team titles a little longer, or was it appropriate for Dakota Kai and Io Sky to snatch those titles away from them? From my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but Bayley is about to be facing Bianca Belair coming up at Extreme Rules, from my understanding, for the Raw Women's Championship. And I think the goal was, at least the conspiracy goal was, to have the have Bailey win, and so that trio has gold, just like what Raw has, and kind of almost make a main roster version of Toxic Attraction. I don't want to. I'm just afraid that if the WWE has decided to take the title away from Bailey, and they, go forth through this, that Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez would kind of steer away from the tag team division. I think that they're a good combination. I like watching them on TV, but I mean, they have, but it's very easy to jump sell from that. So, what can we expect next week? All right. Seth Rollins looks to take the United States title from Bobby Lashley. So we'll see that next week on Raw. Kevin Owens and Austin Theory will once again collide. And then looking into tonight, just something on the headliner. Pretty Deadly looks to prove the haters wrong in a rematch against the Creed brothers on NXT tonight. So if you guys are looking for that, tune in to NXT tonight. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to watch Raw, all right, look at that. Oh, by the way, I know what we'll talk about tomorrow. When was the last time you saw it in Evade? Dexter Lumis invades the Miz's safe space at his home, and a lot more still to come. All right, this wraps up our show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got the Reds doubleheader action coming up in about an hour and a half. We also have we'll come back tomorrow, getting ready for week number 2 of the NFL and much more. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until tomorrow, you guys have yourself a wonderful day.